you're hearing the same instruments. Like that's not any different. I mean,
Right.
maybe like maybe Schoenberg uses like an oboe or something that wasn't invented back then. But like it's kind of the same thing. But you know, like Robin Hood and the Miller or whatever that song is called. Like it very much has like the same kind of tone as a a folk song that would have come out of Atlantic Canada or Appalachia, but it's not really, it's not the same thing. Like they don't share the same kinds of cadence. They don't share the like, maybe they can both be waltzes or something, but like the similarities kind of end with like the time signature.
Yeah. There's probably no folk music in anywhere in North or South America that's not been touched by three cultures, you know. I mean,
Yeah, I mean like black,
and
Celtic,
by
and
yeah,
like
right, by black I mean just like slaves who like lost a
yeah,
lot of their
because
culture except like scrap, like, you know, fragmentary songs, you know what I
yeah,
mean? And uh yeah, like you said, Celtic, and then even and also a lot of indigenous stuff,
yeah,
especially in South America. Yeah, but also other specific places. Yeah, yeah. Like it's a
well, yeah,
complete. There's so much variety
yeah. I mean the other one that I was gonna say was like Nordic music.
for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, right, right. If we define culture a little bit more specifically, like the list just multiplies and multiplies and multiplies.
I guess, and I mean like I hear the similarities like because I listen to those kinds of music and I don't listen to other kinds of music, so I miss things. But I don't know. Like to me like Schoenberg's works might as well have been composed by Mozart. Whereas like Robin Hood and the Tanner could not have like whoever did that could not have done like bluegrass, but they're kind of the same. Like they're kind of, as far as the world is concerned, the same thing.
Hmm. Yeah,
Uh, I don't really like classical music that much.
I don't either.
I think it's I think it's like all pomp. Like I really have a hard time believing that anybody like really enjoys putting on like a suit with tails, and
Oh,
sitting in an auditorium and listening to. It must be deafening to like be front row in front of an orchestra. That's a great
if the
face.
hall's
Say like
built,
that the whole time. There you
if
go.
the hall's built correctly, then it won't be horrible. But
Yeah.
that's not the point.
I mean, I wouldn't know because I wouldn't go. But
I like classical music more than I did before I became a student at SU in composition. But I went to composition school somewhat misguidedly because I thought a composer was not somebody who had to learn about serialism
no,
and
you were right,
centuries of
and academia is wrong about it.
what I don't catch your
You
drift
were
here.
right that like, well, maybe you,
Oh, I was right about what yeah.
yeah, and academia is wrong. And
I
I
remember I wrote this piece for two xylophones or something like that. That was one of my audition pieces when I got in, and I showed it to my dad like a year before I went to school when I was thinking about applying for composition, and I wasn't sure yet. And he was like, "I think it's too weird. Like, I don't, I don't think it's like, you know, traditionally like tonal enough." And then I get to school, and it's like, you know, fucking, they want you to write like, they want you to at least try writing
well,
serialism, serialist.
can you imagine if you had submitted like a beat
I did.
to your composition school,
One of
and
them
how
was
did it go?
yeah. It was good. I mean,
Okay.
the fact is they were way more open than anyone expected. The
Oh,
thing
great,
about and
and they should be.
the the good thing that we haven't actually talked about, to the credit of like composition schools today, is that most of them in America, in France, it's still hell. It's
Yeah.
horrible.
What if you
People
played
are,
Drake to Boulez?
but in the U.S., like this is all broken open since like the late '80s. The serialism shit has not. It had its reign for a few decades, and it's gone. I mean, it's not gone. You can still do it, but you don't have to. If you write tonal music, people will sit down with you and say, how can we improve this in the language that they'll try to meet. A good composition professor is going to challenge you, but they're going to meet you where you are. You know what I mean? It's not like that anymore. My neighbor, who's a composer, he told me that he was studying with a serialist composer, and I don't know if I should say his name, but the person he was studying with was Charles Warren, who's like a pretty big name at one point. I heard about him while I was in school. I never listened to his music. He didn't like the fact that Warren was the same way as Boulez, basically, and said like anything that's not serialist like isn't worth its salt. Like just not, don't bother. My neighbor said that he found that to be kind of fascist, and like I know what he means.
Yeah, I mean, like, why can't like anybody who's gonna say that a kind of music has to be one way is like, as far as I'm concerned, is not worth listening to. Which is why I have such a problem with the Schoenberg is dead thing. It's just not worth listening to. Like, moreover, it's not worth saying. Like, I don't know. I just think you need to have as liberal a definition about the arts as you can. I said it last week.
That's why I call it the liberal arts.
Yeah, that's
well,
a fact.
it's not.
It's like a fact.
It's like a fact. That's the best way to put it.
Alternative fact.
Kind of like how a lot of what Babbitt says is like truth. I mostly agree with it. Yeah. So let's talk about why do academics do this? Like, I think we've had a lot of conversations that even though they haven't really been directly aimed at this, like, hopefully people will
I think it's just an
hopefully you'll find it illuminating. Yeah. You think it's an aesthetic thing?
No.
You think they adopt the aesthetics of science because of the, like...
No, I mean that, like...
science is cool?
I mean, I think that classical music has a certain aesthetic of, like, class and you know, I don't mean class in, like, the money sense, but, like, also class in the money sense. Like...
Right.
Expensive, like, lavish...
You have to signify
like,
your class. Yeah.
High culture thing. And, like, obviously it's nonsense. Like... I mean, was it Mozart or Bach that had like every song was like about eating ass or something?
Mozart definitely wrote some songs like that.
I mean, every song was about, as far as I'm concerned, it was about buttholes for him. Like, you know, it's about like putting on airs, right? Like, you can't convince a donor to pay for a banjo for a college, like, or a whole fleet of banjos. Like,
those days are gone.
It can't be done. I'm sure it can't be done unless you find like a rich hippie. But like, you know, to get them to pay for like a string quartet, like, it's easy because you can charge a lot for tickets, I assume, and you can make that money back. I mean, I don't know if donors make anything. I mean, do they get like a cut if like the concert hall is named after them or something?
They get a concert hall named after them. They get permanent symbols of status and giant tax breaks.
Well,
and I'm sure there's other ways
the
that they
tax
end up
breaks are all you
profiting
need,
too.
right?
Yeah.
To convince wealthy people to part with their money.
Yeah. If you make big enough donations to to Syracuse University, you can get on their board, even if you own a company that builds buildings that students will live in that you will directly profit from. You know, it's all just organized bribes, or most of it is.
Oh, I've lost my hair tie. Well, yeah, I just think it's about like the aesthetics. Like, I think paying a bunch of like stoner kids to make the cool music is not a good look for a school, even though it should be a good look for a school.
Yeah.
Like, I would think it's a good look. People that think like me would think it's a good look.
I mean, it really just, it in a way, it's the same kind of signaling that makes this high music look like high music. No pun intended with what you just said, but I just mean like that other kind of high music.
I literally thought you were making fun of what I said.
No, I meant high music in the sense of high culture, but like, let's talk about the other kind. If you're like, if a school were to do something like that, it would be very flashy. It would make a big impact, and they'd be profiting from it for decades because people would remember it, and it would attract people to them, and they'd get a reputation out of it. I think that Boulez knew this when he wrote Schoenberg is Dead. Like he must have known. He was already like fairly prominent, but like that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of move that cements your reputation. You have to deal with a little bit of negative publicity for a while, and stinky looks from people, but like people are gonna fucking remember that. They're gonna talk about it.
Oh,
They're
9/11
gonna,
wish.
they're gonna do apologetics for you behind. What'd you say?
Don't ask me what I said.
What'd you say?
Don't ask me what I said.
I have no idea what you just said.
I said 9/11 make a wish. That's why you shouldn't have asked me.
Randy, you were gonna hide that from me?
Yeah.
I would have missed my wish.
It's only because I opened up my phone to check how many viewers we had, and I saw that it was 9/11.
That's a lot of viewers.
No, ooh, good one.
Thanks. I also think that
Buffon.
the conversation we were having before about science being a thing you can't just do in your kitchen, and music being a thing you absolutely can and should do in your kitchen.
Yeah, I think my hypothetical was like better than you gave it credit for. You would not accept
Which
chemistry.
one?
You wouldn't allow
bath.
chemistry from like you wouldn't allow bathtub chemistry, but you would allow like toilet compositions. Like and you shouldn't and you should. Like it's right that those things are true.
Yeah, I think there's a future where we may very well need scientists outside of academic institutions to continue doing science, but I'm willing
like,
to accept
what do you
fully
mean-
the
what do you mean
distinction
by-
you're making.
I'm still not like I still don't think we're on the same page about what scientists can work not for a school. I'm just
That's
saying
true.
they need to be educated to be a scientist. You cannot be cannot
Yes.
be uneducated in science and be a scientist.
Okay, yeah, if putting it that way, then I agree with you.
You
This whole
should.
time I was
You
a
had
little,
better.
the reason because here I think it has to do with a little bit of us perceiving the boundaries of the conversation like a little bit differently. For me, I was like, okay, it's university or no
Forget that my
university.
hair tie's gone.
And that was sort of the running thing in my mind the whole time, including during that part of the conversation. So if I said something that made it sound like I thought that scientists shouldn't be educated, what I really meant was
It's exactly what I thought,
there's
and
more
I
than
just
one
let
way.
it be.
There's more than one way to educate a scientist. That's all.
Such as PBS. What are you talking? What do you mean?
What I mean is, if society radically changes and there aren't universities, there will still be people in that society who did go to universities or whatever, have the knowledge, and will be willing to pass that knowledge down in a systematic way. There will still be the ritual of indoctrinating, wow. Well, I couldn't remember this word the other day too. There will still be like rights associated with like getting somebody to the level of knowledge where they can be a scientist and do science.
Yeah, obviously the metric
For
changes.
science
I
to
mean,
be for anything to be a just institution, like I think it needs to be able to survive the university. I'm not saying the university shouldn't exist because it helps a lot of these things exist, but I'm just saying nothing should be given
yeah.
legitimacy.
At some point, it was
by
the
the fact that
church.
it's
Like
also-
there was a time when it was the church,
Yeah.
and the time before that, it was like, the medicine man's hut. Like the metric changes, but like the fact is that like there needs to be there has to be some kind of like systemic knowledge passing
Yes.
for science. Like it almost makes I think it would make music worse if it had to be systemic. Like
Right. The fact that the music is everywhere is amazing. Academics and this is what I was wanting to talk about. Like why make statements about your music in your university like that music's need to be supported systemically and why exclude any other type of music? That's all.
well, maybe you can explain something to me that I don't have any knowledge of. as a system.
Yeah.
But if you have like, if you're like an artist that gets to go like work at the Fleur de Lis building in, Rhode Island or whatever, like if you get to have what is the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Oh, gosh, god damn it! What is the word? What is the word I'm looking for?
I have no idea.
Like you get to go like be like a living artist at like a museum or something.
Yeah, a residency.
A residency, exactly. Like, I mean, are you like being told what to do at a residency? At like
Not
an arts residency,
usually.
right? So like if you're like if you have like a residency in like traditional music, like who's to say that you are like being told what to do other than like you do have to do something.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like strict, like rigid control. Like it just has to like it justifies itself just by like having some kind of work being done. Just in the same way
For
that
me,
like that pop science you were talking about, like, yes, it sucks. It sucks that we have to look at an article every 6 months about whether or not eggs are good for you, but like imagine the things it could fund.
what do you mean? The things that science
Well, imagine the things that like
gets fun.
yeah, but like imagine the thing that like the pop conservatory, like the pop art residency could fund.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Right? I mean,
want that so
it could
badly.
fund like the hippie like Sage Collective, like the
Yeah.
order of the Burning Sage. It's like a hippie commune on campus
been a
out of a
thing
building.
There's been a thing I've been trying to get at this whole time.
Do it.
That's
Because
like
I'm just about finished here.
harder for me to. I think what it is that it's the projection that I see. I don't always. It's not the listen, dear listener. It's not that I always want to have a problem with everything, but there is something about these musicians saying we want to advance things, but they can never quite just say that. It always ends up getting projected outside of their fields. They always end up making judgments outside of the bounds of what I think it's reasonable to grant them. We already I think we did a good job with Boulez. We already looked at Boulez, how he ended up, sort of pretty crassly projecting his opinion about what makes something revolutionary onto Schoenberg as if he had lived Schoenberg's life.
Like,
what did Babbitt do? That's a similar move that I have an issue with. And it's,
do you think
it's not a big thing? What?
Do you think these sorts of things? Do you think they have to be revolutionary? Do you think it matters?
No.
Like, okay,
No,
good.
that's
Because I was gonna say
that's
like,
it.
everybody, 100% of the people on this call right now know who I would say is like the greatest folk singer and songwriter that there ever was, and that is Stan Rogers. And like, if you listen to Stan Rogers' music, he never did one single thing that was new. You will never hear anything new if you listen to Stan Rogers' music. You'll never
I had
hear.
a great
I don't think what. I was just gonna say, like, the Grateful Dead didn't really do anything new. The Beatles,
Yeah, not much. I mean,
the
they did
Beatles,
some new.
like the Beatles, like
right.
experimented with like recording techniques and stuff, but like
Yeah,
they didn't really do anything new because 90% of their music is the fucking 12-bar blues, like we talked about last week.
that's true. That's
Like,
true.
The best stuff isn't revolutionary. Like it happens way after the revolution because all that stuff is like settled into like the popular culture.
Right. There's a hero culture in classical music where you have to figure out who the heroes were and then you have to elevate them. I think Boulez, in a way, was doing that to Schoenberg when he disparaged him. I think Boulez was also kind of doing that to himself when he disparaged Schoenberg. Because you can just make moves like that within that lineage, and if you're big enough, you're probably going to get canonized. The ironic thing is the contradiction between wanting to kill all of that shit in the past and also sort of at some, not being able to escape being canonized, being part of it. These people, classical music is a unique thing for that. It's, and unfortunately science has that too. Science has heroes. I'm not saying heroes are always bad, but I'm saying the need for heroes is not good. The need for heroes
Most definitely.
corrupts, right? Yeah, I think we're back on the same page for the first time in a little while.
I hate
Yeah,
it.
and that's what you said you hate it.
Yeah. I like it better when I get to
only
yell at you
one,
for being wrong.
only one of us can survive, Randy.
Yeah. No, this podcast is a lot like Thunderdome.
Yeah. Man. Yeah. And I think the adoption of the aesthetics of science is because science is the hero right now in academia. Everyone wants to be science. Musicians would rather cut off a large part of music in order to have a few of them potentially be seen as like
That's because everybody. That's because
Isaac Newton or
that's
or
because everybody
Einstein.
thinks they're going to be that, right?
Yeah.
But none of them will. None of them will. Like, who's being trained as a composer right now that's gonna like survive and become part of the canon? Like, maybe one person.
Maybe one person. Yeah.
Like, there's only a couple. Like, it's not even like a generational thing. Like, who's the person alive today that the most people might say is the greatest musician alive today?
Oh Jesus, hold on. Kanye.
Don't say Kanye West, because he doesn't do it. He has like people that make his beats and people that write his lyrics. Like,
I mean, that doesn't might still say it.
I mean, you're okay,
Paul
sure.
McCartney? I don't know. I don't
Okay,
know.
I was hoping you wouldn't say Kanye because that was the only one I had an argument against.
You can't escape your ghosts.
No, but kids can see them. Got him. Got him.
Okay. Who were you thinking of? Who were you thinking of?
I wasn't. No, I just wanted you. I just was crossing my fingers that you would say anybody besides Kanye. Like, and unfortunately, the person you said is the other person I can't argue against, which is fucking Paul McCartney.
Fuck.
The thing
That's
is,
so-
like, okay, yes, Kanye and Paul McCartney are going to be part of the cultural canon, like, inevitably. On the one hand, I think it's because Kanye West ran for president in 2020, and not because Kanye West made 808s and Heartbreak. I mean, that music is dated. There's good songs and everything. I'm never going to listen to them until he gets his shit straight. But the songs are good. They're just dated. I think Paul McCartney made a lot of bad music. Wonderful Christmas Time, for example.
I love that.
I love that song too, but it's awful. It's just like the same thing as like, I really like the, and never mind. I don't like Star Wars that much. I really like A New Hope, but I don't think it's that good. But like, like Katy Perry, like, you have like a Katy Perry or like a Lorde or somebody that isn't, they're huge and they're like cultural icons today, but they're not going to be part of the canon, and they're bigger than everybody. They're bigger than all those composers that are like fighting for pole position, right?
Yeah. True.
And also, nobody gives a shit about classical music anymore, and I bet they're not going to like 10 years from now. So I don't even know why they're fighting. They should be like working together to make good music instead of shitty fucking classical music that all sounds like all other classical music.
It's gotten better, but it hasn't gotten.
It always
as
does. Like, it always gets better.
as it. I mean, the music has gotten better, but the music got better because the situation got better. Very much
I thought you
underscoring
were going to
what
say
you're
it got better
saying.
because the situation got worse. That's interesting.
No, it got better. I mean, funding, it got worse. A lot of the things got worse, but people started making music that is a little bit better. It's okay.
I'm not apologizing to you.
Bless you. Who are you apologizing to? Your cat?
The audience.
The audience.
Jesus.
What are you
Okay,
apologizing to your
let me-
cat?
Yeah, well, she is up there trying to stare out the window, even though, well, maybe she can see out of it. I don't know. I don't know what cats see. What is this? What you were gonna say? Did you just say the thing you were gonna say after I said Stan Rogers' name? Because it sounded like you were gonna say something. I hope.
I was going to say something along the lines of, I just feel like emotionally what I needed to say, we kind of already said.
Okay.
Like,
So I was gonna
and
say,
I'll
I'll
just
just repeat the name Stan Rogers until you remember.
I'll just cap this. I did want to come to this thought, which I kind of jotted down. Like, I think a lot of this has to do with this obsession with hierarchy, right? Like it's all kind of related. The hero thing, the the supremacy of one field in academia and other fields feeling like they have to mimic it in order to gain funds. Like, to me, the move of like turning your mind towards like, okay, how can we find a hierarchy in music and then demonize it and then remove it? Like, that's the move that I think created serialism, and that's the move that people went with for a long time. But I mean, it's a focus on a synthetic hierarchy, like a aesthetic hierarchy in a music that basically all of your thinking about hierarchy becomes a game, because you. And I think it ends up kind of weirdly masking the fact that like you're also battling outwardly for a position in an academic hierarchy, right? You're adopting the like hierarchical thinking to the level of like the aesthetics of your piece in order to like not, in the hope that you're not going to perish in your job. Because the fact is, like, it's great to say like we need more funding as musicians, but like music doesn't have to have funding to be music. These people need funding in order to like
but artists need
survive.
But so artists need funding to survive as well.
Yeah. Yes, it's like an existential thing for the composer, where it's just not the same. It's not at the same level for science, because there's so much more of a history of science. There's at least 100, 200 years more history of like academia supporting scientists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a point where artists could get patrons because like the patron liked what the artist was about.
Yeah.
And like people will probably make the argument that like, oh no, the patrons now are record labels. But the thing about record labels is that they are leeches.
Yeah.
Like,
they're horrid.
Yeah, they're just like debt creators.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And unfortunately, they choose to prey on like the most vulnerable kinds of people, which are the poor, by like giving them outrageous advances and then coming to collect the money after it's spent. Like, you know, I think like the greater music scene, I think it would do better in the hands of academia than it would, you know, the private, you know, industry.
Better, not perfect, but better.
No, I mean
I wouldn't trust a private university
look,
and to handle, you know.
I'm gonna just go ahead and out myself, but like, music would do best in like nobody's hands except for the musician's hands. Like, it would do best if like everybody got their UBI and you got to just like enjoy having like basic small luxuries and spend your time making the best music that you can. Like,
absolutely.
Like, that would be the best environment for an artist as far as I'm concerned. Like, the successful ones still get to make extra money, and the ones that aren't like hugely successful and profitable are still able to survive. Like, that's the best place for music.
Absolutely. I feel like we're kind of done.
Well, I was just gonna say I want to get like a Porky Pig. That's all, folks.
We could create one.
Yeah, but it can't be Porky the Pig. It can't be Porky Pig because we're gonna get yanked off Twitch by Warner Brothers.
That's true. We'll have to figure out like a close parody.
You need to get Mustard to do it.
Get Mustard to do it?
Yeah, you can animate, right?
I haven't really, but if you have enough time, you can animate a 5-second.
Yeah, I could. Why don't I just do all the things that we need to do?
No, I didn't mean you.
Oh, okay.
I just meant a person.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was imagining today at work like a new like kind of sub comic for the universe with like all the cats, called Beezor, about like a cat named Beezor.
What do you mean all the cats? Like Garfield? Is he
like
there?
Just all the cats that I draw, like Mustard
I see.
and all the other ones that I've ever drawn.
Oh my god, the MCU, the Mustard Cinematic Universe.
The Mustard Cinematic Universe.
That'd be great.
I would only name it that because of you, because you have such an attachment to Mustard. I'd probably name it like...
I don't even remember what Mustard looks like, but I just remember. Oh, yeah. I remember remembering Mustard.
Mustard's probably on the Poorly Drawn Cat's Instagram, which I have not touched in a while.
I'm probably not going to touch it either, honestly.
I'm gonna start
well,
putting those
right
cats
now.
up,
Why not?
except for right now.
Why not? C'est la vie. Sucks to suck.
Comme si, comme ça.
What's it called? Poorly Drawn Cats?
Poorly drawn cats.
So, oh wow, it's right up there. Poorly cat drawn. Wait, some of these aren't. This can't be you.
No, you're looking at there's a website that had like trademarked poorly drawn cats when I started my Instagram. Maybe they made an Instagram and then because I took it, they had to like change it.
This isn't you either. Can't be. Oh, this is Poorly Drawn Cats. See, this is why they should keep fucking artists poor. So they can't afford smartphones.
Wow, well, let me find it. It comes up with
not Poorly Drawn Arts. I don't want to look at those. This
where did my? How come I can't find
accounts
it?
like Poorly Drawn Cats are why they should keep artists poor. So they can't afford smartphones to make these ridiculous Instagram. Shout out to Nico Lel, who's Instagram. Dude, none of these are you. What's going on?
Dude, I can't find it.
The algorithm's working against you.
I literally can't find it. I'm like, is it gone? I had the handle poorly drawn cats, so there. No, that's not it.
Maybe they took it down because it was inactive.
Maybe is that a thing to do now? It would have been. I mean, I would have uploaded something like a year ago,
I don't
and
know.
then hadn't in a while before that.
I don't know.
Like a year.
Who can
Well, that's disappointing.
say?
Cats are gone.
Yeah, I can't.
They were definitely there.
I was trying to come up with a pun. I couldn't come up with a pun. It's too bad. Tarnish my legacy. So do you want to do? Do you want to do the episode recap? Do you want to do that on stream or?
Episode recap.
Yeah.
I'll just like chat about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you count down to stop the recording? Because I don't need to have to edit that out.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And we should probably talk about programming sometime.
Sure. Okay. Let me
so,
do that. 3. Are you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Killer.
Got it.
Now I have to. Unfortunately, my webcam. It doesn't matter where it is. It's always going to cover exactly the part of the screen I need to look at. What did we say this was? Episode 14.
Yes. Episode 14.
Killer. Diller. And I'll export it so I don't have any more fuck ups like that one time I really fucked it up.
Yeah, I'm doing mine too right now. I really gotta like get a separate monitor for my laptop or something like that.
I was super hot on the idea of getting a second monitor. Today, I'm pretty cold on the idea of getting a second monitor.
I just need it for my neck. I like that's what I'm coming at it from. Not even the second screen thing. I'm just sick of looking down like this.
Well, the cool thing is that I can't. The technology doesn't exist to put the chat on screen or on the stream. But I have been watching it the whole time in OBS. Really not doing a great job. Whoever's that one viewer is, you're not doing a great job keeping the conversation going.
Yeah, I think that you should say something if you exist.
Yeah, say something.
If you
see something, say something. And you've
Say
seen
something,
something
coward.
for almost 2 hours now, so fucking speak up. Dude, what if it's Hassan? What if it's Ben Shapiro?
No.
Who's the best person that could be in the chat right now?
Kanye.
No. Kanye, if it is you, leave.
Log off.
Yeah, seriously, get off Twitch. You've done enough damage to the
Go into
podcast
hydrogen
industry.
ugly.
Did you say go into hydrogen?
I said go eat a hydrogen ugly.
Oh. I thought you were doing.
Opposite sides of the meme.
I thought you were
meme
doing some
spectrum.
pun that I didn't understand about go into hiding.
No, like I said, opposite sides of the meme spectrum.
I gotta tell you, I didn't want to do this episode.
I didn't really either.
I was just so pissed off that you were like, you sprung like, hey, Randy, could you just learn music theory? Could you do that for me? I was so pissed off. Like,
Sorry.
I didn't want to be here.
sorry.
It was like 8:30 when I finally wanted to be here.
Yeah. Which is funny because I feel like the first part of the conversation was good. But it
That's
wasn't like
because it wasn't a conversation. That was just you talking. That's why it was good
Well,
because I
it was-
chose
wouldn't have
not to
been-
contribute because I didn't want to sound angry.
well, anyways.
And I think it was better.
I'm glad that the end was good for you because it was good for me too. I thought there was we got to some good stuff. This is a good example of a topic that didn't work very well, and I have to stop looking at the stream because it's wigging me out seeing us like jerkily move around.
Yeah, I don't know if I can like undelay it or something. Viewer, I apologize. Maybe you could help us with that. I didn't mean what I said earlier, okay? I just talk.
Yeah, so it's funny that like, I wasn't excited to do this topic either. I did a lot of research for it.
It's a shame.
Um,
It's a shame that you can say that about a topic that you brought to the table.
It is a shame.
I think
it's a shame.
I think if you suggest a topic that you don't want to do, and I'll say the same for me. If either of us suggest a topic that we don't want to do, we just don't suggest it.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately,
I wanted to do it-
ultimately,
I
I
wanted to
think
do
we're
it
gonna get a
last
good
week.
episode.
I think it is fine. Yeah. Last week when I like had a dopamine spike from like weird mic thing happened from like some interesting thing happening in our conversation, I was like, oh my god, like I can totally handle this as a topic. It'll be great. It won't be too hard.
Well,
Like,
I thought hour 2 of this conversation was going to be the topic that you had last week.
Okay.
Like
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
think you were gonna make me like learn about fucking 3 composers that I personally don't have any interest in, and like ultimately like I'm glad I read what's his name, Milton Berle.
Babbitt.
Okay, yeah, not Milton
Burl Ives. Yeah.
Yeah, Burl Ives. No, I was thinking of Milton Berle and his giant penis. Is what I was thinking of.
Who's
Don't open your mouth right after I say that, Leo. Jesus Christ. You gotta quit the
Who's Milton Berle?
He was an actor at one point with a just a great big penis. That's what he's famous for.
Oh, okay.
I think he
Okay.
I think he was like involved with a donkey in some way. But I feel like I only know about his penis because of Golden Girls or something like that. But I wonder what he had to do. I wonder what the donkey thing is. Mr. Mr. Belvedere.
I've thought of some good topics this week, and I have not written all of them down, but I'm gonna write one down right now because I need to collect better topics so that this doesn't happen again. Here's one.
I think we're always going to be like reticent. I hope that was the right word. I think we're always going to be reticent going into an episode that we pick when we pick the topic on the Sunday before.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think we have to make an effort not to do that.
Yeah. I
I mean,
kind of did that twice.
yeah, it's always.
Well, I picked
like,
the topic last week, and then I didn't research it until Sunday.
I think it's always going to be better than like improvising one on a Wednesday night. Like I think the Sunday beforehand is better than that, but I think we can do better than.
I agree.
Even if we end up with a good episode, like I think we can do better.
Yeah.
I think it will be a good
With a
episode.
great-
I think it's going to be one big bitch to edit because it's 2 hours long.
Yes.
But what?
Well, yeah.
What do you
As the first guard, you being the first guard, I will take whatever hacks you make.
Yeah.
And I won't question them because I know it's a lot.
Well, I don't know. You seem to want less episode than I do.
Well, I just mean if you have to cut a lot because there's a lot, like I'm not going to get mad. That's all. I don't want less episode. It's just that it kept happening for some reason.
I'm still flabbergasted and befuddled that you cut 26 minutes off the last one.
I can't believe that I did
I
that.
don't believe it either. I can't even figure out what you cut because I felt like I handed you a finished episode that needed like music inserted. And
Is
you
there
handed it back to
zero-
me. You gave it back to me 26 minutes shorter and it still sounded like a complete episode. So I don't know what you cut.
I know. Is there any chance that it was somehow actually just like
No.
18 minutes shorter than we thought it was, and then I only cut 6 minutes?
I mean unless time isn't linear. That's a possibility, I guess.
Because again, I saw that it said 1 hour 18 minutes, and then I thought maybe it said 1 hour 0 minutes and 18 seconds. That was the only thing that
Would
kind of made
that be
sense.
12? The mythology episode? Yeah.
Yeah,
So I sent that back to you. Let's find.
you have the file. Actually,
Yeah.
I have the file too. I could check.
Yeah, I just have to. So our shared mythology edit, which is the cut that I made. Let's just find the recording. There's all this fucking blank space. Why can't they just show me what the whole file is called? So I cut it from 94 minutes down to 78 minutes. 1 hour, 18 minutes, 9 seconds. And the final version is 52 minutes and 40 seconds.
Say that again.
Hold on. I cut it down from 94 minutes to 78 minutes. And you cut it to 52. And like I said, I felt like I handed you a complete episode that just needed the music to be inserted. I got back what I still think somehow is a complete episode, and I can't figure out what you cut. Unless there was, it has to be that there was like 18 minutes of silence that neither of us were aware of that managed to get clipped off.
Couldn't have been.
I know. I know it couldn't have been, but it has to be.
Literally. Well.
I know it's not possible, but it's true.
Yeah, it's baffling. It's just baffling.
Yeah.
Where is it? Oh, it's still not done up. I'm like, where is it? It didn't finish exporting. Where are you?
What? This freaking cat, I swear to God, she wants the window open so bad, but she doesn't realize it's 25 degrees out and snowing. She's so stupid. Check the fucking weather, my dude.
There it is.
I know you like being cold and wet, but I don't. Other than that,
Okay.
like, I think I like streaming. I don't know about you, viewer, if you're even still here, you coward. Show yourself.
Yeah, I like streaming too.
Um,
This is, I don't know.
I don't.
I feel like it opens me up a
I don't-
certain way.
I don't feel like there's any reason to not ever do this again.
Yeah, I agree. I also just like I like the look of our layout now, like quite a lot.
Yeah. It's much better than black bars. It's like flanking the Discord capture. OBS has been a great ally of mine.
Thank you, OBS.
Yeah.
Thank you, 1492.
Yeah, the
Sorry.
great man Columbus came to this virgin land.
Have you seen that? Oh my God, that's a
No.
video.
Came to this virgin land, the first of all the Portuguese or whatever he was to reach these shores.
Okay, so we're gonna watch Oh, can't do that.
Well, I'm gonna
I'm
stop the
just gonna
stream if
get
we're
you
gonna do
to.
that because it's gonna make it look so ugly and like
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not doing like ugly stream anymore.
Okay.
Like I ironed most of that out yesterday. And I'm not gonna make a new scene right now. So guys, go suck an egg. That's all I can say. Later, taters.